Welcome to GST Suvidha Kendra. Today, Mr. Sandeep is going to teach you a new lesson. Those who do not know about GST Suvidha Kendra, please visit the website mentioned in the video or in the description. You can also open a GST Suvidha Kendra and earn between 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees per month. You can apply directly from our official website, or you can call or WhatsApp on the number mentioned below. Thank you.
Today we are going to learn what is GST, how GST system works and what are the benefits or demerits of GST. GST is known as Goods and Services Tax. It is called biggest indirect tax reform. To understand this, we must know about tax. Taxes are of two types: direct tax. Tax which is paid by the person directly to the government is known as direct tax. Income tax is a kind of direct tax. The person who has high income pay higher taxes directly to the government, and poor people do not have sufficient income, so they do not pay tax. But in case of indirect tax, it is levied based upon the purchase of goods or services. It is paid by the consumer. Does not matter whether the consumer is rich or poor. If a consumer consume goods or services, consumer is liable for indirect tax. Since consumer purchase so many items in a day, it is not possible every time to pay it directly to the government. Therefore, consumer pays taxes to the supplier, and supplier after a certain period of time deposit it to the government. So we understood how GST is indirect tax. But why it is called biggest reform? In earlier taxation system, there were many kind of indirect tax like excise duty, VAT, central sales tax, service tax, luxury tax, entertainment tax, and etc. So under GST, all these taxes are removed and single GST is implemented. But mind one thing, custom duty is still applicable on import or export of an item. In earlier taxation system, tax on tax was levied. For example, when a manufacturer produced an item, manufacturer was required to pay excise duty to the government. And when that manufacturer sell that item, manufacturer was required to charge sales tax on that item, and excise duty become part of the cost of product. And every time when transporter enter into different state, transporters are required to pay octroi duty, which is known as entry tax, which also become part of the cost of product, and tax on tax was levied. No benefit of input tax credit was available. But in GST, this is simplified because there is no excise duty or octroi under GST. There is only single tax, that is GST, and input tax credit is available under GST system. In earlier taxation system, there were separate registration under VAT, CST, excise duty, service tax. But in GST, it is simplified in a way that there is only single registration through GST common portal. In earlier taxation system, each state had a different VAT system and different tax rate for same item. But in GST, there is a common rate for a same product. That is why it is called one nation, one tax, one market. Under GST, there are various kind of tax rates available. There is a tax rate of 0% for those goods which are agricultural product, 3% for jewelry item, 5% rate for mass consumption goods, 12% and 18% are standard rate. Most of the goods or services are covered in these two rates. 28% rate is applicable for luxury and demerit goods. In earlier taxation system, various offline forms were also required to be filed, but in GST, every process from registration to return filing to cancellation is online through GST Common Portal. Under GST, e-way bill is introduced for making movement of goods easy in the country. Anti-profiteering provisions are also applicable in case if a supplier do not provide benefit of lower tax to the consumers. Electricity, petroleum products and alcohol are kept out of GST. It means in these products no GST is applicable. Under GST there are three types of GST: central GST, state GST and integrated GST. If a supplier sells an item within the state, then CGST and SGST is charged. If a supplier supply an item outside the state, then integrated GST is charged, but the tax rate is same. For example, if an item of 18% is supplied outside the state, then IGST at the rate 18% will be charged. But if that item is supplied within the state, then 18% will be divided equally between CGST and SGST. That is 9% CGST and 9% SGST will be charged. Ultimately, tax rate will be same. So in this video we understood GST is an indirect tax and all return filing, registration, e-way bill, cancellation are done online through GST Common Portal. There is single registration. Under GST, various kinds of indirect taxes are removed and single GST is introduced, but custom duty is still applicable. E-way bill is introduced for easy movement of goods, and under GST same product same tax rate is applicable. That is why it is called one nation, one tax, one market.
Thanks for watching this video. As we have already mentioned, you can open GST Suvidha Kendra and start earning from 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video. You can directly apply from our website, or you can also call on the number given in the description.